Hi, everybody. So I am Kristen Thompson, and I am here today. I'm going to be discussing common real estate scams.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, there are a lot of real estate scams. Our industry is hot for the taking when it comes to scamming people, essentially. Some of these I'm honestly like, wow, this trick is so old. People are still getting scammed by this. Are you serious? I mean, I remember when I was in high school, this was happening. So, I'm just shocked that some of these are still happening. So that's why they're being mentioned. So let's hit with the number one real estate scam right now, and obviously I like to do most of my videos with you guys coming from two mindsets. And one of those is as a realtor for consumers, and then the other one is for the investor side of me and all the investors who may be watching my videos. So that's kind of how I like to think about things. So some of these, when I was researching some of this, looking into a little bit more details, I'm like, is that really a scam, or is it that people are not doing their due diligence and protecting themselves? So some of them are just outright scams. Like, listen, hey, we're trying to get your money and steal it from you by misleading you completely and telling you that we're somewhere and that we're not. Other ones are like, hey, as a consumer, you have to read and you also have to protect yourself, So, think about it that way. I'm going to kind of go over those, but some of them are just kind of like paying attention. But the number one real estate scam right now, and this has caused billions of dollars in losses for people, is wire fraud. You think it's a wire. It's like, I go to my bank, I send the money. Like, how is this a scam, right? So what happens, these people are hacking email accounts. And so what they'll do is they'll get an email account that looks very similar to the one that you've been communicating with or from. So they might change it to title company period at titlecompany.com, whatever it is. And that period just doesn't quite show up on the thing. So you just, it looks like the right email. I've heard some stories. So let's just roll back a little bit. I've never actually had this happen to me or any of my customers, knocking on wood. Sorry, that was my dog. And so I hope that never does happen. But basically what they do is they steal your email, or an email that looks like yours, and they communicate with you or the title company or the realtors or the sellers, the buyers, somebody within the transaction, and they trick them into believing that they are the person they're supposed to be communicating with. So one of the stories that I heard was they went as far as they were communicating with the title company, and they said, hey, by the way, we just changed our bank account. Actually, can you actually send the money to this account? But prior to that, they had went through the whole thing of like discussing stuff that had been in previous emails. Like, they had mentioned like their kids and, like all kinds of like pertinent details. Oh, by the way, I'll see you at closing. See you on Wednesday, all the appropriate times. So, the title company thought that this was the seller they were talking to. Thankfully, she walked into the closing with the sellers, and she said, hey, I just wanted you to verify for me one more time that these are the correct account numbers that we should be wiring your money to. And that's when they found out. They're like, no, we brought like our account numbers with us. We haven't sent you our account numbers. How did you get our account numbers? You know, all this thing. So it was like, oh, wait a minute. That was a scammer. So it was very legitimate. It was like, yeah, this could be a really person, you know, this is the person, this is the seller. So what they were doing in that situation, they were trying to trick the title company into sending the seller's money from the sale of their house to them instead of the actual seller. So that's a big one. That's just like one scenario that can happen. A lot of times on the other side, it's when the buyer is sending money. So the biggest thing here and how to prevent this from happening is to call on the phone a trusted number and verify the account numbers before you send any money. And this takes an aspect out of it that, you know, in our world today, we're just not doing anymore. We're not picking up the phone. We're not calling people. We're not talking to people in person. We're just not doing that anymore. So it has bloomed the perfect opportunity for all these people that want to scam you and to really be able to do it and be successful at it. They're so successful at this. They're making a ton of money. And let me tell you something, it is not the Prince of Nigeria doing it. These are people in the US that are scamming you. It is rampant. So, all right, let's go to number 2. These are not necessarily in any order of prevalence. These are just things that I have seen over the 10 years that I have been a realtor. All right, so let's go to this one because this one's good. Fake listings. Yep, that's still happening. Specifically on the rental side of things, it happens all the time. So what happens is I list a house, right? Kristen Thompson, realtor, list a house for sale and it's vacant. It happens with houses that are occupied that have like furniture, but unoccupied homes, it happens a lot more. So house is vacant. Scammer goes on, saves the photos from a website, and then posts those photos, the exact same photos, on Craigslist. But they have listed it for rent. But unfortunately, they cannot meet you in person to see the house. So you need to send them like $1,000 as a security deposit, and then they'll get you in the house and send you the keys. But they can't do that because they have to trust you by you sending them $1,000. There have been so many times that as a realtor, I get called because my sign is in the yard and they say, hey, I'm at the house. I was online talking to somebody and the house is for rent. They weren't able to get me in because they said they couldn't send the key. But hey, I saw your for sale sign. Could you let me see the house? I'm like, no, the house is not for rent. It's for sale. Could you get in contact with the owner? I've been talking with them. No, honey, you have not. You have not been talking to the homeowner. I talked to the homeowner. You have not been. I was able to get access without sending $1,000. So that's a red flag. If you cannot meet the person, back to that personal in-person touch, you can't meet that person, it's probably a scam. If they don't have nobody here in your town to meet you, it's probably a scam. I'm sorry, that really awesome 4-bedroom, 2-bath house that was for rent for only $1,200 isn't real. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Now, one time, I will tell you a real story. I'm sorry. This is probably going to be a little bit of a long one today. But this story I have was, I had this happen to me on a house that was occupied. Now, these homeowners were kind of in the country. And they believed in their Second Amendment to own guns and protect themselves. So they literally, this scammer told them to go to the house and look in the windows. And if they liked the house, then they could work out the details. So my sellers had people wandering up to their house. And again, he believed firmly in his right to protect his house. Like coming to look in the windows. And they lived there. They had a ton of furniture. Thankfully, a lot of people called when they saw my sign. They're like, hey, is this house for rent? So I was like, do not go on the property. Literally, I have to get a sign made. I had to go to a sign store and have a sign made that says, house is not for rent. That is a scam. I literally had to do that so people would stop walking on their property. Yes, I'm not kidding you. So, unfortunately, I do occasionally troll through like Craigslist to make sure my listings aren't posted on there. But it is really challenging to stay on top of that because they just post it so much and so widely. It's very challenging to keep on top of that. The best thing that we can do is obviously we have signs in the yards that has my phone number on it. It's clear that the house is not for rent or for, it's for sale with me. So as a consumer, you need to see that as a red flag and say, hey, why is there a for sale sign? Or hey, when you get that address, do a reverse search on it and say, hey, let me see if this house or this address shows up anywhere else. Because I can guarantee you, if any one of those renters had done a reverse search on that address, and what I mean by reverse search is, taking the address and Google searching it. That's it. It would have pulled up on Zillow like a gajillion times, like on Zillow and Realtor and all the other random websites that have houses for sale. Like, how long would that have taken you? Like 5 seconds? So again, a little bit due diligence on the consumer side would have prevented this. And this is another one. I have had people call me crying. I sent all of my money, my last bit of money I had to rent this house. Do you have any houses for rent that I don't have to pay any money to get into? Yeah, it happens. And I feel for the people. It is heartbreaking. Anyways, moving on. Foreclosure relief. So this one kind of goes back to the again, the consumer diligence, So there are, if you get a list pendant, I think on the previous video I mentioned this, if you get a list pendant on your house, which means that the bank is starting the foreclosure process, then you're going to get 1,000,001 people reaching out to you saying, hey, I can help you. Let me help you sell the house. Let me help you stop the foreclosure process. They're going to be everybody want to talk to you. You are going to feel like the most important person in the world. You can wave, like the beauty, like the queen. Anyways, so here's the thing. Some of these companies are real. Like in my own business, as a realtor and as an investor, I use some of these techniques to also market to people. I hope that most people think and know that I am I have a moral compass, that I wouldn't do anything wrong, but these people don't know me. How do they differentiate me from the next guy or girl? It's hard. But I tend to go through things, treating people the way I'd want to be treated. So there's definitely, a multitude of factors that go into this, but foreclosure relief or any kind of relief, I need to get out my house fast, sell your house quick, cash, all that thing. it all comes back to consumer diligence. If they're asking you to pay them for help, there's so much free help out there. You do not need to pay somebody. You just don't need to do it, okay? I will help you for free. Like, I will. I might not do it. Oh, I'm sorry. I will help you for free. I promise. I will give you all of the advice that you need. I might actually do a video on this to help you and tell you what to do. A video idea, I'll do that. Anyways, I won't do it for you at that point, but I will help you for free if you need to avoid foreclosure, and give you the tools that you need to help yourself. But if someone is saying, hey, I want to, you need to pay me all this money and I'll help you. If they're not like an attorney or something, you don't need to do that. Just don't. There's so many options. Also, always consult more than one person. If an agent or just some random person comes to you and they say, hey, I want to buy your house, or hey, I can sell your house, or any of these things, and you don't know nothing about real estate, just know that a second opinion is great, Call somebody else and say, hey, what do you think? What are your options? What can you provide for me? Okay? So, with that being said, what they do is it's basically, and this is loosely called a scam, but they charge you a fee up front for stuff that they, that is free, additionally offering like a lot less money for your house than what it's actually worth. By offering a quick closing, they get you under contract and then they take like 8 weeks to close. Those kind of things, you really have to do your consumer diligence. The next thing is long listing agreements. Oh, this one's a gem. I don't even know how they get away with this. They can't be realtors. Anyways, so what happens is I'm a realtor. I come to you and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you wanted to sell your house. I'm going to help you sell your house. Here's the listing agreement. Right? Well, consumer doesn't read listing agreement. They just signed over their right forever to that agent to sell their house. So like forever, like literally they put like 40 years on the listing agreement. And these sellers have no idea that it happens. So they actually even go and file with the county some record or something. Again, consumer diligence. If a listing agreement has 40 years on it, you probably don't want to sell that or sign that. You don't want to sign a listing agreement for that long with a company. And if they put that on there, you might need to run from them. Don't even let them explain what happened. Just run as fast as you can. Go. But typically speaking, I do 6 months for my listing agreements. On some properties, I'll do a year. That just depends on the property. Like if it's land or something unique, like I had a dome house once, I'll do like a year contract on those. But if the seller asks me to do less, I'll do it. It's about having open conversations and being an educated consumer. It's not even being educated, it's just getting multiple options and reading. It's actually not hard unless you don't know how to read, but anyways, sorry, my Pepper came and distracted me. My Pepper's my dog. She's staying right here next to me. Come here. Oh, there she is. All right. Did you go say hi, my girl? I love you. All right. Sorry. I got really distracted here. Okay. All right. Get down. We were talking about, I don't even know what we were talking about now. Oh, long listing agreements. So, make sure you read. That's critical in anything that you do. Long listing agreements. So basically what will happen is, they can't sell the house, or they don't sell the house. They can't get this agent to work for them. But no matter what happens, if they fire that agent, they are entitled to a commission, which sometimes can be thousands and thousands of dollars. So one of the couple things that I do, as I was saying, is I'll do a 6 or a year listing agreement. And then there is a clause in the contract in Florida anyways that allows you to get a cancellation fee. So I personally have never charged a cancellation fee. It's always $0. There are some situations that actually haven't come up yet, but in which I could charge, like I have thought about, hey, I'll charge a cancellation fee on this. But one of the caveats with that is I don't charge a cancellation fee, but I do have the right to collect on marketing expenses, actual expenses occurred. And the reason that we have that in our contract is because, and actually I've never even charged anybody this either, but it's just an option. So if you come to me and you say, hey, Kristen, I want to sell my house. Okay, yes, sure, I'd love to sell your house. Let me get the paperwork together. Let's do this. And I go through my whole thing. I spend all this money getting pictures and staging and marketing and all the things. And you're like, actually, I changed my mind. We're not selling. And in those situations, so sometimes, like, I spend a lot of money on marketing, and I can be like, I gotta get paid back for that, never actually collected on it. Normally, it's not that's never really happened, when I wasn't expecting it. So, normally they're like, I think I might be getting a job. And I'm like, well, let's go ahead and do it. But I'm a little bit more conservative on what I do and what I'm spending, as opposed to, yes, we're going, let's go. So there's a big difference. So in that situation where they're like, I'm not sure, I'm like, let's get the pictures. Let's, do something, so that we're ready in case this comes in, we can sprint, So that, I've never charged on it, but it is an option. And it goes back to, again, read your contracts. I think everything so far that I have talked about, you can prevent. It's all preventable with a little bit of extra effort on your part. Okay. This one's still big. It's not so much, I would say, with real estate, but I just wanted to throw it out here because I'm really surprised at how many people are still getting scammed by this. They say, okay, I'm going to sell this product, and they send you a cashier's check. But, it was accidentally $1,000 more, $5,000, $10,000, sometimes more than what we actually need to pay you. So could you just send me back the remainder? Of course, people think cashier's checks are the gold standard for, it's like the same as cash, But what happens is it looks real. The bank, it's a cashier's check. It's real. But once they go through the whole process of submitting it to the actual originating bank and getting it back, they find out that it's not real. And you've already sent your extra $5,000 back to them. I'm just mentioning that one. It does happen with, I think probably more on the rental side, maybe with some escrow deposits, stuff like that. But not so much on the buying and selling side of things. I just wanted to throw it out there because even just like selling a car and stuff, I'm really surprised that this is still happening. A lot of new scams. I've listed houses for sale on Facebook Marketplace all the time. Like if you list something on Facebook Marketplace now, it's crazy how Carol, who lives down the road, is not actually Carol and is actually someone who has stolen Carol's profile, and they're scamming people like crazy. I say Carol because that was my mom, and her Facebook profile got stolen. And that's what ended up happening. But they're using like Venmo and stuff like that to scam people now as well. So again, if you can't meet somebody in person, it's hard to say just don't do it. With that being said, I have had several buyers actually purchase houses from me without meeting me in person, but we talked on video chat. We did all the things. We used third-party companies, such as title companies and stuff like that. So if you're wanting, one more thing here, for the investor. So there are a ton of really shady people out there, a ton of them. And the more I've gotten into investing, the more I've realized, wow, these people are like, yeesh, not great people. But what they'll do is they're like wholesaling properties. They're selling them, but they don't actually own the property. They're like second contract down or something. And one of the biggest things is to not ever send the owner directly the escrow deposit. Escrow needs to be with like a title agent or an attorney. So you can say, I will have this deposited with an escrow agent that I use here in town. Like in Gainesville, Florida, we have, I don't know, a lot. And I have 3 or 4 that I primarily use, and then one that I like to sit on my escrow deposits to. If that's not good enough for them, it's probably not a real deal. Some sellers will be very particular about who the escrow deposit is with. And that's okay, but you need to do your diligence and make sure that that's a real company and that company is not owned by the seller. And they need to be like registered as a title company or an attorney or with the state of Florida, all those things that you need to do. Make sure they're actually writing title insurance policies. So it can be a little bit trickier, but when you get into investing, you get a lot of properties that are not for sale on the market, like with a realtor and realtor, not realtor. I'm sorry, all the people out there who get annoyed by that. It can be possible that you'll buy a house that's not listed on the market, and you'll get some interesting situations out there that make you start questioning whether this is legit. Also, don't be afraid to ask for someone's ID. Say, hey, you're telling me that you're the seller. Can I see your ID? Oh, I don't have my ID, or I can't show it to you because I'm in Afghanistan or whatever, or New York. I don't know, somewhere else. Well, hey, can you hold your ID up and snap a picture of you right now holding your ID? And that's one way. But even if that's another subject, but if you're going through a legitimate title company, you shouldn't have any problems getting your escrow deposit back if something didn't work out because the seller wasn't real. Yeah. Hit me up with your common scams that you've seen out there. I love to hear stories. I love to tell stories. It's one of my favorite things to do. So if you have a crazy scammer story, I want to hear about it. And I might even love to just bring you on the show and have your cautionary tale. She's playing. She is having a really good time, the dog Pepper. Sorry about that. Anyway, so I would love to maybe bring you on if it's a really good one and tell about our cautionary tales. I feel like I learn more and retain more when I hear stories. So I love that. If you have one, bring it to me. I want to hear it. Anyways, I had a few more, but this is already hitting at 30 minutes, and I think I need to quit jabbing and get out of here. So anyways, maybe I'll do another one. Great seeing you all. Hit me up with comments. Make sure you subscribe, and thank you for joining. Bye.